Right, I'm here with Adam from Chez Quan.
How's it going?
We're getting the 3-2-1 on what makes Chez Quan Chez Quan. 3-2-1 showcasing the Space Coast. So, Adam, you guys have been here for a while, and the first time I met you was back in 2014, 2015.
Yes, sir.
Through Coy, when I was working.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he introduced me. And
Shout out to Corey.
Yeah. And so one of the things I admire is that when I first came here, all the walls were white. That wall was there.
Yep.
None of this was over here.
Correct.
And it was just basically you pick up the food in the window, or if we were lucky enough to get delivered to Toyota, then we got that.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
just before we get into all that though, what is your background? What did you get started with? How did you come up?
So I actually lived in the neighborhood here, right behind the restaurant.
Okay.
And I went to school here locally. I went to Satellite. I went to O'Galley.
Okay.
I went to Delora. So that's like my background here as far as being in Melbourne. You know, I ran like the Melbourne route like everybody did. Went to BCC for a couple of years after high school. Then I moved to Orlando. I was working in Orlando for a long time. And right around when my mom retired, I got out of what I was doing in Orlando.
Okay.
And I started to freelance here and there with audio work.
Okay.
My mom retired from the base, and it kind of timed up with the freelance work that I was doing.
Oh, okay.
Because freelance work is great money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially when you're doing audio at that time before the pandemic. But you know, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, but then you still have, you know, maybe a month here or there or a week here or there that you get no work, and it comes and goes. So I had a lot of free time on my hands, and my mom was like, hey, you want to open a restaurant? And she'd always talked about it since I was a kid, because she had a restaurant when I was a kid. And she sold it to go back to working on the base. And when she was working on the base, she did all food service operations. And that's what she had retired from.
Right.
So she was just thinking about it, and she had all this equipment that she had saved up over the years, and she was just like, you want to open a restaurant? Like, I think it would do well if you put it right over here. And she'd always thought Aurora Road.
Really?
Yeah, she actually thought that plaza right over here on the corner where Cuban American used to be.
Okay, yeah, I know what that is.
Not where they're at now, but across the street.
Right.
And she was like, yo, we go in there with Thai food, we go in there with chicken wings, like there's nothing in that area. And I'm so skeptical. I'm like, nah, but if you want to do it, like, I'll do anything you want to do. Let's give it a shot. So when we opened, that's the room we were talking about. All the walls were gray, actually. They were pale gray.
Okay.
But there was no color because I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. I wanted to maybe put a mural up on the wall, obviously. I had Ben Watts, who is, or was, I don't know if he still is, but he was a server over at Squid Lips for a very long time.
Okay.
But he's a very popular artist here locally.
Right. You said Ben Watts?
Ben Watts.
Okay.
Yeah. And he still has like a lot of artwork up on the walls if you want to like take a look at those later. But he's one of the more popular artists here locally, and he came in and he put a whole bunch of paintings up. He painted something for my mom, just like caught some inspiration off of our menu, and I thought that was great. So we put the artwork up for sale, local artwork.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of the things I love when you come in here. You see all the local artists, and you see all these things.
Yeah, and it gets to live and breathe, because if it goes, then it goes. And then the artists like Jeff Filipski, who's got 3 huge pieces in here, and he's had stuff in here pretty much since we started doing this.
Right.
He's also a very popular artist here locally, and I think like actually nationally kind of renowned. I know that he does a lot of stuff outside of the state.
Oh, wow.
But he's like one of the main people that we have art that will come in and switch stuff out. So like the 3 pieces that we have now, that he just brought them in here last week. So the artwork kind of gets to live and breathe a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
But we had artwork up on the walls, and we were just over on that side there, and you know, opening the restaurant had proven to be a good idea at that point. And we knocked a hole in the wall and added some additional seating, because what we were seeing was folks wanted to sit down.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have the space. So we would get loads of people, and I remember the day, it was like 13 or 14 of Melbourne's finest showed up, Melbourne Police Department.
Right.
and they all came in to sit down and eat, and they had been here before, and we would actually pull out, like, we would put the 3 tables we had together,
Right.
and we would pull out some folding chairs and like a folding table in the back and make it like a banquet style table. And then, you know, we were just more so doing to-goes, we were more so doing to-goes and delivering, like how we would deliver to y'all at Toyota. But when they were coming in that day, they poked their head in. They saw that the tables were already, we had like 3 or 4 customers in here. We had like 3 or 4 customers in here.
Right.
That's how small it was. We had like 3 or 4 customers in here, and they poked their head in, and there wasn't enough room to sit. So, man, it used to give me so much anxiety when the dining room would get full, thinking back at it, because it was like, and the dining room would be full with like 9 people. And I'd be here like, oh my gosh, there's so many people in here. And they poked their head in, and they saw they couldn't sit down, and they weren't upset at all. They were just like, oh, we'll come back tomorrow. We'll try to get here earlier. And my mom looked at me, and she was like, hey, call Roy. That's the landlord. She was like, call Roy. Tell him we want next door. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's when we decided to open up next door, and we've been rocking.
I'm glad you did, because not only, and also one of the things that I really loved when you guys opened up on this side was it added to the personality of Chez Quan. Because even though you were able to do what you were able to do as far as cooking over there, you were a little bit limited in what you could show, and what you could be, the feel, the aesthetics. You know what I mean? All that stuff.
Right.
So when you opened up and then everything happened, it started, and I know it started to kind of snowball.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I really, really, really love about this place is almost all of it is word of mouth.
Yes.
So what is it that you feel that you guys do in which people just feel, because one of the things, if you talk to somebody who loves Chez Quan, like myself, loves Chez Quan, it's almost like they own the restaurant themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, no, that's my restaurant, you know what I mean?
Right.
So what is it that you guys have been able to do and learn along the way that kind of made it so that people would want to keep coming back and take that ownership, if you would?
Okay. And thank you for the compliments along the way of that question. But first of all, my mom's food allows me to do all of this dumb stuff that I do in the restaurant, all this silly stuff that I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I only play rap music and slow R&B. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I grew up on, and that's my style. And what it comes from is it's just like me. It's just me. I had to be here all day working with my mom, and my mom has never cared what kind of music I played. Growing up, I mean, obviously, like, she had a problem with 2 Live Crew. And she she's not a fan of the profanity, but she never challenged me on, like, if we were riding in the car, I could always play whatever tape I had. I could always put it on the radio station I wanted. She never had a problem with that. So here working, I'm just playing the music that I'm listening to regularly to get me through the day.
Right.
And then that becomes part of the feel. It becomes part of the shtick. I always say, if you feel good, you eat good.
Yeah.
And when you come in here, you come into somewhere different. You know what I'm saying? You might have 45 minutes to an hour. We get a lot of folks that come in here for lunch break, and it's like you get to come somewhere different. You know what I'm saying? But somewhere that you feel comfortable. And I kind of just look at it from that style. It's my mom's food, and then the silly stuff that I add to it, which is just me. And then it kind of makes people gravitate towards back to it.
Because it's real.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Not being like, oh, because we keep it real, but it's just like it's usually on my shirt. Obviously today I'm getting interviewed, so it's not. But like the logo is my handwriting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it ends up looking graffiti style because when I was growing up, I desperately wanted to learn how to do graffiti, which I still suck at graffiti, but you know, I used to tag everything. Like I would be somewhere. I'm still to this day. I'm somewhere with a marker. So just the friendliness and the vibe, and like when the whole thing with the mural, like that was the promotion of graffiti. We got behind it. I just feel like that's us. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of helps us build a little bit of that cult following, because when people come here, they find something other than the food to kind of relate to, or to feed them, feed their soul a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like we're a family business, and when you come in here, you almost feel like family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like we'll be having a conversation. Sometimes me and my mom are arguing, and it's dinner and a show. And then she'll be in the back, bang, 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 and then she'll come out and be like, "Oh, hey, sweetie." So you're like, "Yeah, how y'all doing? Is everything good?" You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's no big deal. Or like we could be having a debate about something, between myself and another customer, and the other customers are sitting in, they're naturally around, so partake in a conversation. It's almost like bar atmosphere minus the bar.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right, yeah.
It's just friendly.
Oh,
Like
totally.
we all in here in the same people, and you've been in here a lot, and you see like the different demographic and groups of people that we get in,
Yep.
and I like that.
I've seen the lawyers, and I've seen the cops, and I've also seen the construction worker, and I've also seen the guy that just got a job. I've
Right.
seen it all.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I look at it like Applebee's don't care if I'm sitting there eating some baby back ribs,
Right.
listening to the Beach Boys.
Right.
So I don't care if, you know, some older folks are in here eating some pad thai, listening to some Mobb Deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's all right. It's just music. I'm trying not to play the stuff that's gonna offend you or
Yeah,
make
yeah,
you feel crazy, but at the same time, it's like you got to get there's got to be things for us. You ever walk through like the baby section at Target and see all of the cool stuff they have for kids
Right.
that are like, yo, they got Star Wars shirts for kids.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts, bro. Like,
Yeah.
how come they ain't have that for me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like my generation is growing up. So like, where would I like to eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I kind of really like is that even though you guys have gotten so big, like for example, you guys did my wedding, you know, and we're forever grateful for that because it was just a home run. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And it brought a lot of business as well, which is what we were hoping for as well.
Most definitely. I got another wedding out of it actually.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. At the same place. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful place.
Sterling Stables.
Shout out to Sterling Stables.
Yeah, 100% Sterling Stables. Beautiful
Yeah,
place.
it's a beautiful venue.
And get them to do the food for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I loved about the whole watching you, because when you're at the beginning and you're watching everything from the beginning and where it goes, it's like, oh, I see, oh, wait a minute, they just added something else. Oh, they just added something else. And a lot of people don't see that there has to be a lot of movement before you can get to that step.
Yes.
You know, like you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to cater and just shebang.
Right.
Because it can mess up in way more ways than one.
Right.
So what is it that, if for anybody that's out there that's looking and they're saying, oh, I wish I could, if only I knew, if whatever, what are some of the things, you don't have to go into great detail, but what are some of the things that you've learned that, for now, for example, you could look at and say, you see this? Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
To kind of grow into your own, so to speak, and get bigger, or
Okay, yeah.
better, or why, I don't know how you want to put it, but.
Well, my mom is like, when it comes to doing, again, like, I'm allotted or I'm afforded the ability to do a lot of cool things because of my mom's talent. You know what I'm saying? Like her food is just too good. That's one. And then
It is.
it's really good,
The
right?
Spice Mint Facial Chicken, SMBC, not even.
It's every time I see somebody, like somebody will get off the phone and they'll be like, somebody just ordered an SMBC. I'm like, oh yeah, it was Henry. You're the only one that calls it that, right? So, but that's what it is. That's what we write on the ticket. But you know, I get to do a lot of cool things because her food is so good. But she's also super overconfident. So it's like, other than being, fatigued,
Right.
which she deserves to be if she works so hard. But
Right.
I would never be able to get my mom to stop working as hard as she is. That's just who she's been. She
Right.
was that before I was born. You know what I'm saying? She's very confident. Yeah, we'll do it. No problem. We'll figure it out. So if you're trying to come up and get started and do something, I would say, one, just make sure you're confident and you just do it.
Right.
Like, just do it. And then two, one of the biggest things that I keep in mind, that I tell my people all the time, is nobody knows that you're making a mistake unless you let them know that you're making a mistake. At your wedding, we could have been in the back under complete chaos, in the weeds, crazy. But y'all don't know that. And if you don't know that and I get through it, then we're okay.
We're good.
It's just a gig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if I'm out here fumbling over tickets and like, oh this and oh this and oh this, and then people are gonna be like, yo, it's taking a long time. This is why is the service so slow? Why is this guy all over the place? How come he hasn't gotten my drinks yet?
Right.
But if I control the situation, it is what it is. I'm in a situation where all those things are potentially able to happen.
Right.
But if I say, hey, how you doing today? Listen, it's super busy today, so if you at any point feel like you want to come up and order, please feel free to do so. You know what I'm saying? Bring your drinks up for refills, all that. I got
So you hit it at the head before it becomes a problem.
You just cut it off. You cut it off right then and there, and you let them know these are the things. You know what I mean?
And I can see a lot of newer people would be afraid to do that because then they feel like they're, I don't want to.
Right. And so if you just have the confidence and you just do it, nobody knows that nobody knows.
You're short staffed.
Yeah, it's kind of like you fake it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? When I used to do AV work a lot, I thought the craziest thing was like, you know how sometimes you feel like you see people in unfortunate situations and you think about yourself and you're like, man, I hope I never get to that point in life.
Right.
And I'm thankful for everything that I have currently. But if I ever got to the point where I needed to like eat a meal, right? If you just put on some all black clothes and a black polo and some black shoes and you walk in the kitchen of pretty much any hotel or convention center in the country and just say, hey, where's the catering at? Where's this? They're gonna think you're a lost AV tech and they're gonna point you in the direction of some of the best food you ever had in your life.
Yeah.
But who has the confidence to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Who has the confidence? It's like it's Ocean's 11 where you're walking in with the ladder and pretending that you're here to fix the electrical. You know what I mean?
Good movie, by the way.
It's a great movie. But you just have to, you just have to have the confidence and you just and know that like if this is what you signed up for, then just put your all into it. You're not going to make no mistakes.
Right.
And if you make mistakes, then the mistakes are only going to be known to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and then if you learn the lesson from that and you move on, then hopefully the mistakes don't repeat themselves and that's when you can just get bigger and better.
Right.
More wisdom.
You either win or you learn.
Yeah.
Right.
See. And I also, one of the things that I've noticed a lot is that when people are in a good place and they're able to navigate the waters and the storms and so forth in the business world, it also helps to have the right people around you. And I know that during one of the biggest storms we've had to endure over the last couple of years was COVID.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of places either went under and never came back. But one of the cool things is that you guys were able to navigate that, and then also with the staffing shortages and things like that everybody's going through, you're still kind of pushing forward. So what was it that the whole COVID thing, what did it teach you about? Because remember, we had never faced this before.
Right.
So you don't know what you don't know until it happens.
Right.
So what was it that you learned from that on a business perspective and on a personal level with the customers and whatnot from that whole pandemic, you know?
Yeah. It was rough, and it was super unfortunate for a lot of folks in this business. Yeah. And we are fortunate to be in this business. You know what I'm saying? I'm a super young restaurant.
Right.
Like we're currently in year 9, and I'm super thankful for that.
Congratulations.
Most restaurants, thank you so much. Most restaurants don't get to make it to 5.
No.
You know what I mean? My mom's healthy. My aunt is healthy. Our cooks in the kitchen are healthy. We've been able to grow. And then when you get hit with something like the pandemic, it's weird because it's like you don't know what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? None of us have ever been in that situation before.
That was crazy.
So what we've learned from it, I feel like is the lessons are infinite. They keep coming because like one thing is my hours are 11 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
They've been that way forever because since we opened, what those hours represent those are the hours that my mom and I could work alone because we were here working alone. So
oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Right. So we could guarantee come here from Monday to Saturday, 11 to 7 every day, just me and her, and we will make it happen. That was the plan when we opened. Right. Over time, we obviously built up, thankfully.
Right.
But then the pandemic comes, and I'm a crazy old man in my head. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why are they trying to get the world to make these moves? When have you ever seen the entire world, move in the same direction at one time? You know what I'm saying? It was very crazy to see and experience. Now it almost seems commonplace and comical. You know what I mean? But relating back to the hours thing, it's you do what you feel, and if your product is right, if your service is right, then people are going to come. Right. People are still going to support. Right. People are going to appreciate. It's 110,000% the support of the community. It's not we are so popular. We're just getting so much business. Most of our customers come 2 or 3 times a week, and this is every week, and this is for 8 years. I have customers that get the beef and broccoli and sesame beef and have never gotten anything different. And they always say, I got to work my way through that menu, but they never manage to do it. When they come, they're craving it. You know what I'm saying? Again, thankfully for my mom's food. But you just do what you feel like you should do. Stay consistent. And
stay consistent,
that's huge. And people are going to come to it, And, you know, we had the front window, which, like, before the pandemic, we never used. We might have used that window. I'll be dead real with you. We might have used that window like maybe a total of 10 times before the pandemic. And we were open for like almost 6 years, 6, 7 years before the pandemic.
Yeah, you're right.
And then now we use that window more than we use than people come in. More people choose to come up to the window. It's easier for them. You know what I'm saying?
Danielle, she moved from hospice to private duty, which is over by Palm Shores.
Okay.
And at least once a week, once every other week, for some reason, I don't know if it's a women in sync kind of thing or whatever, but for one, they all say, you know what sounds good? Chez Quan. Okay. Everybody already knows that. No menu, no nothing. They already know what they want.
Right.
So they do the order. So you're right. When they come and that's one of the other things is that I've noticed that so many of my friends that come here, whether they found you from the wedding or whatever it is, they drive, and a lot of people don't understand this, but when you have an hour lunch, you have to try to navigate what's within 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got 15 minutes to get back, you got 30 minutes to eat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I have some of my friends that are driving 20, 25 minutes to kind of come out here. They'll get to go if they have to, and then they go back. But the fact that they're willing to stretch it, it's just a testament to, number one, how they're treated when they're here. That's a huge thing. And number two is the food. Well, vice versa, whichever one you prefer. And I think that's absolutely amazing. One of the other things that I kind of wanted to touch on was, I follow you on social media, and I know a lot of other people do. And one of the things that I really admire about not just you, but Chez Quans in general, is things like understanding men's mental health, understanding, you know, things like that, and all the battles that people go through. And not just any one in particular, but we all have those. We all have those things, you know? And I think that's also kind of what brings and helps people to relate to you.
Morning.
And help people relate to you. So what is it that when you go out, and you're not at Chez Quan, the restaurant's closed, and you go out, what are the places that you like to go to? What are the places that, things that you like to do, and how they make you feel, how you make people feel when they come here? You know what I mean?
Well, I've made mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I understand men's mental health a lot. I feel like, you know, when you go through it, that's, unfortunately for me, that's the best way to learn. And that's how I've learned my whole life. But when you go through something, you learn a lot of lessons from it. And I learned a lot of lessons in my past. And those lessons came 1,000% from choices that I made. They are my fault. I own them wholly. And because I own them, like, it just, I feel like it just kind of makes me humble myself all the time. Just arguing with my aunt about giving her money. My aunt will come in here and work so much and then not want no money from me. But it makes me humble myself a lot. You know what I'm saying? I used to walk a very straight line my whole entire life, and I always felt like, yo, I walk this straight line, and it gives you a false sense of comfort, feeling like you're untouchable, like you're just this good ass person. You know what I'm saying? And then you fuck up, and then you gotta learn those lessons. You know what I mean? And like I said, that's the best way for me to learn. So now that I learn, and it's like, man, you can't walk around thinking like that, because look, it even happens to you also. So I'm constantly humbling myself, and in humbling myself, or attempting to humble myself, I should say. And in doing that, like, it just makes me feel like, yo, what's this dude going through? You know what I'm saying? Or what's this person? I got a lot of young guys that work for me, and I have sons, and I have daughters, and I always try to get them to understand, you know, what's coming for them in the future, and what they need to be prepared for. But I didn't have that growing up. So now, like, as far as like, my dad wasn't around. Like millions of other children in the world. So it kind of, I don't know. Maybe it just makes me have a little bit more sentiment towards my fellow man.
Right.
Whenever we go through something, whenever we're struggling with something. And then I always follow the motto of like, if you feel good, you eat good. You know what I'm saying? So when you come in here, I'm definitely, and I check on all our customers when they come in. I be asking them about themselves and having conversations, whatever they want to delve into. You know what I mean? But that's all that part of it comes from, and to get to like some of the places that I like to go locally when we're not working, because I work so much. I work so much.
I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you own, it's like on the 5th or 6th day, it's a little harder to get up.
Yo, I was last night. It was Sunday. That's our day off. Nothing makes me feel older than when I'm just sitting there trying to have a conversation and I'm just like, I'm so tired. I don't even want to talk. Like I answer with like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's tired, bro. But I love it, and I like being that tired because I work a lot.
Yeah.
So
it means you did something. Right,
and it's like no matter how hard I'm working, I can't outwork that lady. You know what I mean? So, and that just motivates me to keep
going. So trying to keep up with her.
Right. So like whenever I'm not working, like I try to, if I want to go somewhere to like get something to eat, it depends on my mood. You know what I'm saying? I like to go to the mansion a lot, obviously. I like to go to Umami for sushi.
Umami, okay.
Have you been to Umami?
I've not been to Umami.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a huge sushi lover too. I love sushi.
Yeah, Umami's really good.
Okay.
And there's a lot of places that have very good quality sushi. But if I have the chance to go sit down and treat myself, then I definitely want to go to Umami.
Okay.
I go to Tai Tai right here all the time for sushi.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jen. I go to Q's Crack and Crab in Cocoa Beach. Have you been there?
No.
Yeah.
I need to go.
Oh man. Yeah.
What's it called again?
Q's Crack and Crab.
Q's Crack and Crab?
Yeah, it's in Cocoa Beach. It's in it's past Ron John's, but I'm not exactly sure.
I'll Google map it.
Yeah, like I want to say like it's right past Cheaters.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know
we
where
all
it's
know
at.
where that is.
I know where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
I've never been though. So
I always go right past Cheaters. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I pass that place up and I go straight to Q's. But yeah, like her shit is amazing. She's doing stuff that's like, it looks good. Like you go to her restaurant and you'll order something and it'll look like it's, this is the shit I see on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the stuff I be seeing in the videos.
So you don't feel that down. The expectations are already there.
Yeah.
And I do go to Cocoa every now and then, so I'm definitely.
It's right on A1A. As soon as you pass Ron John's and Cheaters, it's right there on your right hand side.
Right.
And I heard she's got a second location coming, so that's kind of awesome.
Oh, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's always great to see people expanding and doing things. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it comes from community support more than anything else.
Right.
You know, I love the small business. I love the local. I love that whole idea. You know, and people going and say, so when you go and I'm not talking about just when you're going to eat, but when you go to do the things, obviously hip hop is a big influence on me.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're going out and doing things, like cruising in the car, for example.
Yep.
So who were the biggest artists, or not the biggest artists, but I have my own that I like to just throw on depending on what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But who were the biggest influences on you coming up? Maybe in the last 5 years, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago.
Oh man, it's all. I think we're all products of like. I think we're all products of like whatever music is popular during our adolescence.
Right.
So like I'm forever gonna be a hip hop head. Like the boom bap era, the golden era is that's kind of where I come from. So that's.
I see you making a lot of references to Doom.
Yeah.
Like,
Doom. lately I've been listening to a lot of Stove God Cooks. I've been listening to a lot of El Camino. I've been listening to a lot of Chase Fetty. I've been listening to a lot of stuff from Griselda.
Jay put me on to Griselda. I didn't even know who Griselda was.
Jay Peterson is a big hip hop head. And I love meeting people like Jay, because it's like, and this is what I love about hip hop, because it's like, now that I know who Jay Peterson is and he knows who I am, we could potentially be somewhere and not know that we're there. And as soon as you see somebody, it's like, oh, you got another head in the room. And it's like knowing somebody that's part of like a very exclusive club. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes it nerdy, because if you really put it in perspective, we're no different than collecting stamps. You know what I'm saying? There's a guy who knows his shit about stamps. You know what I'm saying? So like
that butterfly stamp in 2012.
Right. Man, he's got that '84 Olympic stamp that I've been trying to get a hold of. But yeah, I listen to a lot of. I just listen to a lot of. It sounds stupid, but I just listen to a lot of stuff that's just like, yo, I have so many different hats that I have to wear. I have to come in here and I have to be who I am to the business. I have to go into the office and be who I am on the computer to the business. I have to go home and I have to be a father, and I have to be a partner, and I have to be a husband. I have to go out on the street and be a friend, and I don't want to lose that hip hop core. So like, I just listen to just raw shit all day long, just to like kind of keep me there. But sometimes I get into a zone and I'll put on like some old R&B or like old school soul. A lot of podcasts. I listen to a ton of podcasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like which ones in particular? Because I see a lot of the TikTok and stuff with the people. They're showing the podcast, but.
So I listen to a lot of hip hop podcasts. Well, I'm gonna take that back. I listen to one hip hop podcast.
Okay.
You can't even say that it's a hip hop podcast. No, it's two. I lie. I listen to Drink Champs, which is a great podcast if you haven't listened to it before. And then I listen to the Joe Budden podcast.
Okay.
And I've been listening to that one forever, because when podcasts first kind of came out, I got into them. And there weren't that many hip hop podcasts. I think there was like two, and the main ones were like Juan Epstein and the Joe Budden podcast. So I've been listening to that one since its inception. So it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like I grew with it, so I'm just watching it still till it's done. But I listen to Build a Better Restaurant. I listen to RB Talks Daily, which is the restaurant business magazine. Talks Daily. I listen to a lot of NPR. And the NPR episodes that I find myself going to and listening to are like the most recent one I listened to is about the dude who owns Shake Shack. He came up with the concept for Shake Shack.
Right.
And you draw inspiration out of these places, or out of these little spots that you find throughout life that like you would never even think. So now that has me venturing into like weirder podcasts and listening to podcasts that maybe aren't directly related to the restaurant and or a business. Read a lot. Nothing crazy.
So maybe one day you'll be doing little shows out of this.
Yeah, that would definitely be the plan. I've had Sharp in here a few times. Like if I want to go somewhere here locally to like get into hip hop, I'm gonna go to Sharp's house. Like, unfortunately, Melbourne doesn't have like the greatest scene.
Right.
However, there is the audience here for it. They just don't have a proper place to go.
You performed over at the festival over in O'Galley.
I did, yes, for Kristen Warren.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend Nico Yates, who is actually a tremendous artist out of Orlando.
Right.
Big stuff.
And one of the things and I found out that you were doing it because Koi, I saw a picture that Koi was taking.
Yes.
And he was taking pictures. I can't remember her name, but she's beautiful,
Kristen.
soulful. Yeah.
Kristen Warren.
That voice.
Yeah.
Done.
She's amazing.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing.
But I found her because of, and it's like, you know, have you ever heard that phrase, 6 degrees of separation?
Yes.
But
it's true.
And it's like you never know who you're gonna find or who you're gonna meet or who you're gonna whatever. I just put somebody on to a guy named Teddy Swims.
Okay.
I've been following him for about 2-3 years now.
Right.
Phenomenal voice. Brings back the old school R&B, soul. He redid Mario's, what's that song? I forgot the name of the song, but he does a cover which made him famous and which steamrolled everything. And he just did a audience. But I showed some friends of mine. They were like, "Who is this?" And then the word of mouth began. It's like that. So when I saw that you were going to be performing, I was like, that's how I found out.
Okay.
I was like, those little things in the circles that you're in.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the hip hop and the art and all that stuff that's in this area, what do you think it could go? Where do you think it could go?
I mean, it could.
Well, what do you think is holding it back?
Well, it's not any. Well, one thing that's holding it back is definitely a lack of venues to support that type of atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know why. I mean, obviously, you can understand why. Like, I guess hip hop has negative connotations that are associated with it. Hip hop in all forms. So whether it's at the club or whether it's at a venue that's providing, somewhere for like local cats to go and rock, like it's just few and far between here.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of the locals here that participate in stuff like that have to venture outside of Melbourne to do anything positive, myself included in that.
I haven't been able to find anything. Like if I want to go find something, I have to go to Orlando.
That's right.
I have to go, and by then.
That was one of the biggest draws of opening here instead of Orlando. Besides the fact that, when we opened, the rent was like $600. Like, that was
big difference.
That was that was one of the biggest draws because like my whole life, morning Angie, my whole life, I'm from the 90s, right? So like, and listening to all that boom bap, like, I either had to get like a catalog out of the back of the Source sent to me where I could like pick mixtapes, or I'd have to get in the whip with my friends and drive out to Orlando and go to the little mixtape huts or to the mall where they used to have this store in Kissimmee called Homelands. That was just like a hip hop store, like, and there wasn't. Kids today are spoiled, like they don't realize that we didn't have that when it came to hip hop. You had nothing like that, so we would make these treks. It would be a day like, yo, this Saturday we going to Orlando. I'm gonna come home with like 10 mixtapes. It's gonna be lit. I'm gonna have all of this shit that I see that is fire. Like, and now everything is just so disposable and accessible and so fast. Right. So, but here, there's just nowhere for them to. There's nowhere for them to be. They gotta go to Orlando to perform. They gotta go to different parts of the state just to, get that little hip hop off, get that little out of it, that little part out of it. Well, we could change it, and there's the possibility of changing it. It just has to be supported. It has to be done first, and then it has to be supported, and then you just have to stay consistent with it no matter what.
I think if we can find something that, because we've got enough money in this area that we can try and make it happen, like a co-op of some sort.
Yes.
And then, but I think as long as if we can get to that point, and then we can have the artists support each other. Maybe if it's not even their vibe, maybe if it's not even their style of music or whatever it is, that can also lead a lot. Because I remember when I was younger, and I was living on Lake Drive, and it was just a very, very dark, hard time for me. And one of my turns that I turned to was hip hop. Now,
a lot of us was the same. Yeah. That's awesome that you say that.
And I'm 95% deaf.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would put the tapes
but
on.
because you listen to hip hop, you're super deaf.
Yeah. I'm the deafest real till you know. You heard it here first. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
You heard it. But so what I used to do was I used to put like a Tribe Called Quest, all those, and I used to put them on, and then I would put my back to the speakers.
Yeah.
And I would try to follow because I didn't wear my hearing aid because it was pointless. It was all too much. So I would put my back to the speakers so I could feel the music. And then I would try to read the words because a lot of people don't know how poetic a lot of these greats. I mean, you look at like, for example, you say Deafest, but most deaf. Like poetry to a T. Henry Rollins, which isn't big in hip hop or anything, but Henry Rollins, spoken word, poetry. Yeah. All these people in the poetic justice that they bring.
He was real good at slam poetry too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that was
Saul Williams.
Saul
Williams. Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I came up with, I love Mos Def, and then I turned around and was watching. I saw that he was going to be doing a PBS special.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm definitely going to watch that.
Right.
So lo and behold, the special comes on. Opening for him is a guy named K9. I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah.
And then when he came on, and I was just like, who is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now I have closed captioning. Back then, we didn't have closed captioning for nothing. So I didn't know what anybody was saying.
K9, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I couldn't.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So, but and it's just the way it makes everything come together in the hip hop community in general. When you do see somebody else, like Jay, for example,
Yep.
who turns around and says, yo, here's the YouTube link for this. Check these people out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not all of them do I like,
Yeah.
but most of them, I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I like this one, like Black Dog. He put me onto that, which I knew a little bit about it, but there was one particular song.
Yeah.
Now that's in my rotation at least once a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think that kind of, you know, now that we're talking about it, it kind of correlates with the people that come here. Because you also have those people, this is like their hip hop, even if they're not in hip hop.
Well, that's kind of like I was saying earlier. My generation is growing up, and we need a place to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now that I know that you're a fan of Black Star, that guy that you said that when I got the chance to perform with Kristen Warren, my friend Nico that's actually Talib Kweli's artist.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. That's why he's doing big things. So that's what I was saying. So yeah, and he was right here performing in the No Gallery. You know what I'm saying? He comes through the restaurant and eats sometimes with my homeboy June. I got a real good friend in Orlando named June. They do lots of good music out all over the place.
Right.
But yeah, it's a small world.
Yeah, it
and
is.
hip hop makes that world like so much smaller and more intimate and connected, and it's just a different feeling. Like, you've asked me a lot of questions today and made me think of a lot of things that, like, before I wouldn't be able to talk about them without even fucking tearing up or choking up. But when you told me about putting your speaker to the back and reading that, like, I choked up a little bit, man, because that's such a meaningful thing.
Yeah.
Like, as a deaf person,
Yeah.
reading the lyrics while you're doing that and you get it through hip hop, like, that's amazing, bro.
And one of the things, and in the beginning when I first started with all that, it was who felt the best when they were doing whatever it was they were doing, because you have to be, and then that hits you in the back, and then you can feel the chemistry, you can feel the vibes, you can feel. That's why Dr. Dre, one of my favorite. I mean, everybody says he's an all-time great, but a lot of people don't know why he's an all-time great.
Right.
And then when your back is to a speaker, you find out real quick.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then sonically,
Yeah.
You can tell when Dr. Dre does something.
Yeah, just,
You know what I mean?
And there's so much that could be, you know, and then you have people like Common. Then you have people like, who are a different genre.
You listen to Jay Dilla?
Who?
Jay Dilla?
No, I have not heard that.
Oh man, yeah.
Jay Dilla?
I just changed your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just look.
Jay Dilla.
No, Jay Dilla. But you've heard Jay Dilla, yo. You just
I might not know.
You just don't realize it. Yeah, like he's my personal favorite producer of all time. He passed in 2006. 2006, 2007, I believe it was 2006.
And then Nipsey shortly after.
Yeah, Nipsey, what, 2019?
Yeah.
A lot of people in between that, though. But Dilla did, like, a lot of stuff for Tribe. He did, you know, Q-Tip's whole entire first album, Breathe and Stop.
Okay. He did that?
Yes, he did all those beats. He did all of them.
Okay.
And you know Questlove from the Roots, right?
Yeah.
So Dilla used to program drums on an MPC, on an ASR, SP, whatever you use. And Questlove, who has to be one of the greatest drummers that has ever existed, said that he wishes that he could play drums the way that Dilla programmed them, because he was so good at programming them. It's great, and you don't realize how much Dilla you already know. You know what I mean? But
and I'm always up
you
for
have to
it.
put yourself onto it. Yeah.
I always, most of the time I hear a beat or something, and I'm like, I know that. I don't know the words.
Yeah.
But I know that, and then when they come on, and then I like the way the voice sounds with the beats. And because one of the things that...
Slum Village? You ever heard of Slum Village? Slum Village?
No.
Okay, yeah. You'll like
You're
them
just
a lot.
throwing all kinds of things.
Well, yeah, because that's Dilla's original group, Jay Dilla's original group, and I bring Dilla up because you talk about feeling like, yo, you blew my mind with that comment, because that's something that, like, we all debate our favorite artists, like, yo, who's your favorite MC, who's the best MC, right? One thing that 90% of us can't say is, yeah, but I like this person because they feel better.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. That you know what I'm saying?
That's what my list
different
is.
Exactly.
You know, so that's why, like, Jay and I we're just going to be showcasing Jay all day today, but Jay and I, we get into arguments sometimes because he'll say that this person, and I'm like, no, there's no way. Just because when I feel it, it's just like, nah, I'm just not feeling that at all.
Right.
This guy, and he's like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you're crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, friendly, of course.
Of course.
But and it's just, so, and that's one of the things that when, like, for example, when I came here, I had a lot of choices when I could have picked who was going to do my wedding. I had a lot of choices.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it wasn't just the food. It was also the feeling of what you were bringing to the atmosphere that was already there.
Yeah.
You know, without like going head to head, without being abrasive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes and I've worked in the industry, you know, and I've been in the industry for a while now. Sometimes you can have a caterer or a DJ or whoever, and it's like everything is out of sync with this.
Correct.
You know, I've noticed that with some of the people that I've talked to, some of the things you've done in the catering, you have come in and just meshed with everything you've done.
Yeah.
So is it more of a because they already know, and then that's why you're in it, or is it because when you get there you read the room and they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do?
I think it's,
It's not-
yeah,
you know
I
what I
like
mean?
the way you said it. I read the room. Because what I was going to say is I fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
So I'm out there just like, hey, how you doing? Do I need to do anything real quick? You guys good? Okay, cool. And then I go back in the kitchen and I run around like a bat with my head cut off.
Right.
I have a super strong support system when I do those caterings though, because I usually take a couple of guys with me.
Right.
Definitely always David comes with me all the time. David, you see him in here all day cooking. But like, David's one of those people that he's super great at his job, like super great at his job, and then he's a good role player too.
Okay.
So he knows like when we're in the weeds, we're just in the weeds, and then he knows like, okay, when it's time to get this, it's time to get this. Like you need people like that. You know what I mean?
No ego involved.
At all. No. And then afterwards, we're drinking a beer, talking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be able to do none of that stuff if I didn't have that support system. And then again, my mom's cooking, so I think people sometimes are just so happy that we're there. Like they're not even happy to see me; they just know I brought her food. So
I remember one time Danielle, she was going to come here, and she didn't, because you put on Facebook that you guys were going to be closed for whatever day it was.
yeah,
And she was like, yeah, I'm going to call an order. Well, maybe the phone lines are busy. I was like, no, I think they're closed. No, I think I'm going to go over there. And I wouldn't do that. Because she just said, no, I'm going to go over there. I was like, yeah, if you're watching this, you're stubborn.
yeah,
And came over here, you closed. I was like, ah, see, I told you.
Yeah.
But I like that you put it out there because a lot of people don't even do that. And you also tell you why you're putting it out there.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we hate to do it, but it's like
And some of them doesn't.
I don't want to say that we just run the business how we want to run the business,
Yeah.
because you have to stick to
to
consistency. But it's like there's certain situations, because we are a small business, we're 1,000% independent.
Right.
That
Love that.
Thank you.
Love that.
And that sometimes it's just sometimes we just gotta close. Like for instance, I know that this doesn't matter to the video, but tomorrow we're gonna have to be closed until about 12:30 or 1 o'clock. We're getting a new stove in, but when you get the new stove in, you have to have the gas guy come change the gas hookup. Well, why would you do that right when your business is supposed to open up? And that's tomorrow's Tuesday, which Tuesday on record, our 10 busiest days ever have all been Tuesday. Tuesday is just a busy day for us.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to close on a Tuesday to do that, but post-pandemic era, equipment is hard to come by. Now they have the stove.
When you can get it, you get it.
This is when they can deliver, and this is when the gas man can meet them simultaneously. So it's like we have to do it.
It's
So
one of the pros, but you have to do it. You're right. You're right.
right. And you know, it's we get a lot of flack for it sometimes, but I would say that 99% of the time, it's customers completely understand, and it bums them out, but they understand. And I see a lot of people come to our defense online, like,
Oh yeah.
anytime somebody has an issue with our restaurant, which I don't mind when people have issues because I know that we make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know that there's food that's walked out of here that hasn't been up to standards. I know that there's been a customer that sat down that maybe didn't get the greatest service that they read about online. You know what I'm saying? It happens. It absolutely happens. I'll apologize every time I can for it. But the average customer who has a bad experience never says anything. They just don't come back. You know what I'm saying? So when I see those comments, I like them, because then at least you're giving me a chance to like, okay, well, don't just tell me it sucked, or don't just tell me it's the worst Thai restaurant you've ever been to. Tell me why. Not even so I can fix your problem, but so I can fix a problem. You know what I mean? Well, when I came there, this happened. Oh my gosh, you are absolutely right. That shouldn't have happened. Not because I'm trying to give you an excuse. You know, some people are like, oh, well, if I tell you that the pad thai was bad, then you're just going to come over and tell me, oh, well, this and this and this and this and this. If you tell me that the pad thai was bad, the pad thai was bad. The lady who ate it before you who loved it, and the person who ate it before you who loved it, it was just their style. Maybe it wasn't your style.
Right.
maybe the person before you hated it also and didn't say nothing, and the person after you hated it also. But you said something, and now it makes me go over and check. And then I see, oh, dang, I'm super sorry about that. Let me fix that. Oversight on our part. I'll make sure I bring it up at the next meeting. But I don't get a chance to grow unless you give me that chance.
Yeah, and
so
you know, and that's the other thing that I really love is that when like if I go to a restaurant, I always say I give restaurants 2 shots. The first one and the second one. Because if the first one sucks, it could have been a bad day.
correct.
The second or third time it happens, it might be a trend.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I go to a restaurant and things are independent, I almost never go to a chain. I mean, every now and then I do, but almost all. If there's something that's way off, or I'll talk to somebody, kind of quiet off to the side, and it's not for me to get calm, because I'll still pay full. But it's to let them know, hey, I'm just kind of looking after you. This is, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll
And
tell
because
them,
you're in the industry, then people should take your word a little bit with a higher.
yeah, and I'm not trying to get a free food or anything, but it's like when you were talking about, if you don't, in fact, we said earlier, you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know that there's something going on, and somebody doesn't mention it, nobody says anything, they just want to complain,
Yeah.
without giving you a chance to fix it, without anything.
Yeah.
But when you said about everybody coming to your defense,
Yeah.
all I have to do is 3, 2, 1 provide each or anything. If anybody even wants to say anything, which they hardly ever do,
Right.
but then it's all these, it's like an army. It's like 15, 20, 30, and
Yeah.
it's just
By the time I see it, there's
Who
so
are
many
you?
people who responded to it that it's like, the first time it happened, me and my mom were looking at it, and my mom was like, "Man, they really like me." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "This is what," and it's unfortunate that my mom doesn't get to come to the caterings and stuff like that because, you know, I like to see her see that many people enjoying her product. You know what I mean?
if she only knew.
Yeah, and she has an idea, but my mom has always been. My mom's never been a bragger or a boaster, or
Right.
she's always been super humble. She's always, what is it? Walk soft, but keep a big stick or something like that. Like whatever the
I'm
saying
gonna have
is.
to look it up.
Yeah, but it's like you know, she's
Walk off. Different.
it's something like that.
Yeah.
But that's how my mom is. You know what I'm saying? She's always ready to go. Like she's always ready. She used to kickbox for money.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. When she was younger. My mom lost both of her parents at an early age, and she's the oldest of 9.
Wow.
So, you know, she took care of her brothers and sisters. So there's a few times that she kickboxed for money.
Wow.
She used to fight dudes and all of that. And
So then she could definitely handle you.
she handled me several times. But it's like I would never I was never that kid that would like buck up to my mom.
Right.
The most I ever did was start blocking as I got older. You know what I'm saying? It just became a natural reaction.
My kids, when my mom comes to visit,
Yeah.
and I joke with them, I say, you know, Mamacita, they call her Mamacita. She's an old Cuban woman from the island.
Yeah.
And I tell her, I said, don't let her fool you, she's trying to get into heaven. Okay? That's just, you want to talk about, it wasn't just, it was like, you didn't know what would come.
Yeah.
Like it's wooden spoons or something. It's just,
No, absolutely.
oh man. Just,
Yo, my mom had total control too. My mom was like, she would be loud and she would, you know, she was a mom, but she had total control of the situation. Hey, come over here. I said,
Yeah.
it was almost like, you know, tractor beam, like I was just being sucked in. And man, she would let me have it sometimes.
Right.
But
But all out of love though.
of course, I was always doing something stupid. Like I got brought home by the cops.
Yeah.
I skipped school for 3 days. Like I did dumb shit. So it's
Yeah.
like it wasn't never for no reason. But she always says it's because, you know, my dad wasn't there. So she's like I had to be 2 parents. So now,
Yeah.
which it makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. I
But
get it.
the funny part of that is that because now when it comes to my son and he's doing something and I have to be dad, now she steps in and she's like, "Oh, don't be like that." And then I'm like, "Yeah, but you always say that you were like this because I didn't have a dad.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if I had a dad, he would have been there to do this. So now I'm here doing this. So chill out and let me do
Now
this."
you're
You know what I'm
telling me
saying? Right. So, but it's fun, man. Like my mom, like she's the greatest. She's the greatest example. She's the greatest example of afternoon. She's the greatest example of a.
Listen. Sounds like.
Yeah, she's the greatest example of a person, but she's the greatest
Mentor.
example of a parent.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could never match what she does.
Nice.
I could never match what she does. She's even sitting in the office looking up YouTube videos on how to make something better. But then she'll be sick of coming to work. It's like, why are you? Come on, Mom. But you know, she's
Mama
just
Quan is amazing.
she's such a good person, bro. And she's like, she came over here and did it. You know, my dad bounced when I was like 5. My sister was gone by the time I was 7, so it was just me and her. And she got a job and she worked. She sold a restaurant, not because the restaurant that she had in the 80s wasn't successful,
Right.
but she wanted to be a better parent. And she was working 7 days a week, single parent, not from this country. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know exactly what you're saying.
let me challenge any woman in this country to take her 2 small children to any country that she's never been to or lived in and doesn't speak the language and make a life for herself by herself. Not saying that they can't do it, because in my opinion, women are the strongest ever because I have that example. But damn, to do that, like, that's the magnitude of it. That's what she did. She didn't have no help. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad, when he moved to another country. Like, he went back to Asia. He swapped. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like America and Asia swapped. It's like, we're gonna give you an Asian lady for a tall white guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they traded. And she did it, man. And she had a restaurant and she sold it, not because it wasn't successful. She knocked a hole in the wall in that restaurant too, and she made the other side an Asian grocery store in Satellite Beach.
Really?
Yeah, and this is all fact checkable. You can look
So
it up.
there's a long history of her here.
Yes, super long. I was born in '78,
So was I.
Okay.
July 20th.
25th.
Oh,
Look at that.
oh.
We're on the cusp.
Yeah.
But you know, she did it, and all the typical shit that you can say. I never had a bad Christmas. I always had clothes on my back. I always had food to eat. We always had a place to stay. We always had some type of vehicle for transportation. And as we progressed through life, those things got better and better and better. It's like, oh, you don't have this little broke down station wagon no more. You got a Chrysler LeBaron. And it's like, okay, the LeBaron's out of here, and it's like, oh, you got a Honda Accord. And then, oh, you got a van. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, whatever. And it's like, oh, we moved out of our friend's house and we moved into our own crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, our own place. So
Her hustle was strong no matter
oh
what.
my God, and it still is, bro. It still is.
Still going.
Yeah, she's
See
still
how it
going.
works for me, and I think that sometimes I'm like 80 hours a week,
That's
and then she is.
And then here she is, and that's the annoying part, like, for incoming cooks, because like that's when I was telling you earlier how like they rely on a lot of common sense.
Right.
So the younger cooks, you're never gonna be good enough. You know what I'm saying? That's like how, like, if you just accept that that's gonna be their attitude, because it's not the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just that my mom and my aunt are very, very, very good at this job.
Right.
And they're rarely, and I mean like almost never. You could just say it's as close to never as you can get. They're never wrong.
Right.
They're always right. They're always right.
And I think a lot of what adds to it is, especially, not only the bond that you and Mama Quan have, but it's also the passion that you guys have.
Yeah.
Because, she has the passion for what she's doing.
Right.
And you can obviously tell, you can taste it, you can see it.
Yeah.
And the passion for the other side of things, with what you do with the rest of the restaurant, and it's perfect melt what it is more than anything else,
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you guys were able to have that chemistry in which that could happen.
Yeah.
Because then it would have just been 3 months and you've been closed, in my opinion.
Right.
Just because you see all these pop-ups all the time, and not that you were a pop-up. You see these restaurants that try to start, they're doing a food truck, they do whatever, and they have this great idea, which is great, but they don't have the chemistry and everything to follow through with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the fact that you guys are able to bond and do what you do is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I bring my kids here. Damien, who is the pickiest eater on the face of the planet, my 17-year-old.
Yeah.
One of the first things he branched out into
Yeah.
was SMBC.
Yeah.
He was like, can we do without the vegetables? I said, yeah. He's the one without the vegetables whenever we order. And I'm like, yeah, try it. This is really good. good. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
better than chicken nuggets, no?
Yeah.
You know, it's just we make it at least a once to twice a month thing with water so that we can eat at the house.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 6 kids trying to
Of course,
kids, you know?
of course. Yeah.
So, is there anything that you wanted to say to anybody out there, or anything that we wrap this up? And I know you're about to open. And,
Oh yeah, no, man. Just thank you for including us in this new venture that you're doing, and
Thank
good
you.
luck to you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And the Deafest realtor and all of Brevard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just appreciate it, and I appreciate more so along the years of being able to get to know you and the camaraderie that we have behind
I
the scenes. You know what I'm saying?
I love
So
that.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad I met you. And if it hadn't been for just one person saying one thing,
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So thank you, Corey.
Yeah. Thank you, Corey. Shout out Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey's a good dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. All right, so if anybody has any questions or anything, we're at Chez Quan, it's on Aurora. But if you drive too fast, you'll probably miss it. So just slow down a little bit. And what's the exact address here?
1470 Aurora Road, Melbourne, Florida. You see some bent tie flags outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the time flag.
Right in front of Galaxy Skateway, which all of us should know where Galaxy Skateway is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right over there.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Exactly.
son went there the other day. He was like, Dad, said there was a girl there. And then, this was a while ago though.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I don't know how to skate though. I was like, yeah, you need to learn how to skate, man. What do you mean? No, I don't actually. I just go there and hang out.
Right.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. So, yeah, so you'll be seeing me here a lot, but you'll see him here all the time. You'll be seeing me here every now and then as well. But again, I appreciate it. I wish you guys many, many blessings in everything that you do. I really do. Thanks for that.
Peace.
You have a good one. Yeah.
Huh? Oh.